Let me ask you about how far you would go in terms of the Constitution, because I understand libertarianism. Most of us as young people were very much enraptured with it. As kids, in our teens, I think, Hillary Clinton was a go-worker. Well, I'll tell you, because the idea of total freedom doesn't seem to work. Let me ask you, the 64 Civil Rights Bill. The 64 Civil Rights Bill, do you think an employer, a guy who runs a shop down in Texas or anywhere, has a right to say, if you're black, you don't come in my store? Well, that was the libertarian right before 64. Was it the better society?
I believe that property rights should be protected. Your right to be on TV is protected by property rights because somebody owns that station. I can't walk into your station. So right of freedom of speech is protected by property. The right of your church is protected by property. So people should honor and protect it. This gimmick, Chris, it's off the wall when you say, I'm for property rights and states' rights, therefore I'm a racist. I mean, that's just outlandish. Because but wait, Chris. People who have, let's say that law was there and you could do that. Who's going to do it? What idiot?
Everybody was in the South. What idiot would do it? I saw the white-only signs driving through the South in college. Of course they did it. You remember them doing it.
Yeah, but I also know that the Jim Crow laws were illegal and we got rid of them under that same law, and that's all
right,
good.
Well, you would have voted against that law.
Pardon me?
You would have voted against that law. You wouldn't have voted for the 64 Civil Rights Bill.
I wouldn't vote against getting rid of the Jim Crow laws.
But you would have voted for the... Oh, come on. Honestly, Congressman, you were not for the 64 Civil Rights Bill.
Because of the property rights element, not because he got rid of the Jim Crow law.
The guy who owns a bar says no blacks allowed, and you say that's fine.
No, Chris, you're demagoguing it now.
No,
you know
I'm asking
that
a question. What is the answer? What's your answer?
You know, segregation was created by government laws. Slavery was created by government laws. Segregation, let me go. The segregation in the military by government laws. So what we want to do as libertarians is repeal all those laws and honor and respect people with freedom of choice. But for you to imply that a property rights person is endorsing that stuff, you don't understand that there would be zero signs up today saying something like that, and if they did, they would be an idiot and they would be out of business. So I think you're just getting overboard in order to try to turn it around and try to accuse somebody being a racist.
I'm not calling anybody racist. I'm saying the laws are racist.
That's what you're implying.
Let me ask you this. I once knew a laundromat when I was at the Peace Corps training in Louisiana, in Baker, Louisiana. A laundromat had this sign on in glaze, whites only on the laundromat, just to use the laundromat machines. This was a local shop saying no blacks allowed. You say that should be legal.
That's ancient history. That's ancient history. That's over and done with.
Because
it was promoted by the segregation on buses and all was done by laws. So it was a culture. That's over and done with, Chris. Why do you want to go back to ancient days?
Because you want to come back.
It's past.
You're running for
president.
Because you're running for president as a libertarian. Believe we don't need laws to protect people.
And you're reading much more into it, and you're trying to imply certain beliefs that I don't have.
I think you're libertarian.
I think you're a total libertarian. You're doing it deliberately.
I think you're a total libertarian. I think that's what's appealing about you, sir. I think people like you.
Listen,
you know why they like you? They want to live in a simpler society.
Total libertarian is believing in liberty versus being a totalitarian. So if you want the opposite, just look around. That's what we have. We have a totalitarian world. That's what most of history's been about. Totalitarianism, dictatorship. We've only had a small taste of freedom of choice and the principle of private property and contract rights, and we're blowing it. So this whole thing that we're going to give up on that. What we're doing is trying to emphasize that something good and wonderful comes from freedom and freedom of choice, and that we should not say this, that liberty is disgusting, as you implied, and totalitarian should be the way we run our country. I think that's absurd.
We've had a long history of government involvement with Medicare, Social Security, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and I think you're saying we would have been better off without all that.
I think we'd be better off if we had freedom and not government control of our lives, our personal lives, and our and policing the world and running the economy.
Well,
because
that part
we're facing. Hey, Chris, let me finish. We're facing a calamity because of that. We have a financial crisis. We have a crisis in the foreign policy. We're losing thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands are coming back sick because of our foreign policy. And we're at a point where we cannot sustain this, and we're on the verge of runaway inflation because there's too much much acceptance of big government. That is the problem. No matter how noble you try to make it, your good intentions will not compensate for the mistakes that people make that want to run our lives and run the economy and reject the principle of private property and making up our own decisions for ourselves.
Thank you, Congressman. I love your foreign policy. Don't get me wrong. I love your foreign policy. Thank you very much.
You'll come around, Chris. You're coming along. You will. Once you'll see and you'll put it all together, it's all one package. Personal liberty and foreign policy and economic liberty is one package.
You have a great following out there. Good luck in the campaigning for president. You started today. I know it's growing, and you may well win this thing. Just remember, Ronald Reagan got it on the third try. Thank you, Congressman Ron Paul of Texas.